The Seiko Navigator Timer, SPB411, and the Seiko GMT Diver, SPB383, are two of my favorite GMT watches from Seiko this year. You may think otherwise, as the Seiko 5 GMT also released a few new colorways, and also the Seiko Alpinist GMT. But if you know me, I have reviewed the Seiko SSK001, and seeing these two watches in person just takes the conversation to the next level. You could argue that the SSK001 is just an SKX007 rebadged and slapped with the GMT, but these two feel different, and I know this is just an impression, but that's how you usually buy a watch, when it impresses you at first sight. Anyway, enough of that. Let's take a look at the SPB383 first. The salesperson was kind enough to show me these watches, and this is the same store where I bought my SPB143, which I wore when I went there. I'll put a link down below. They are a Seiko Authorized dealer in my area. When I saw the images of this watch online, I instantly thought it was just another dive watch with a gimmicky GMT function, knowing that a GMT is not my main concern and of interest in watches. I don't really use them that much. I was bewildered when I held it in my hands and how damn good it looked. The last time I felt that was when I bought the SPB143, and that says a lot about a watch. The watch is what the Marine Master 200 should have been, such as the SPB185 for example. Obviously that didn't happen, but this watch does not slack too. I seriously like it. Even though I don't travel anywhere or anytime soon, it just feels well built and looks really solid. My wrist really likes it. I like the bracelet, and the clasp is just okay, just like every other Seiko on this price point. But man, the wrist presence on this watch is outstanding. As you can see, I compared to the SPB143 that I was wearing, and it is a tad bit bigger at 42mm as compared to the 40.5 of the 143. The date window trend of Seiko continues here, aligning to the crown. The only thing I wish they haven't done is placing the 3 days text there. A quick recap here. The 6R35 movement of Seiko on their website has a power reserve of approximately 70 hours. That's what they said, and the movement on this one, the GMT, is 6R54. It's 54 since it has a GMT function. Now it is at 72 hours. It's a minor upgrade compared to the 6R35. There's also a 6R55. So they've decided, since they're hitting the exact number that corresponds to 3 days, which is 72 hours, they've then decided to just brag about it on the dial. Not a good move, I should say. But nevertheless, it is subtle and made the text look symmetrical since there is a GMT on top and a Diver's 200. And the X is hidden by the arrow hand here on this video. I guess Seiko stores deliberately do this so you forget that it's there. I'm just messing with you. So the bezel looks nice, and it reminds me of the SNR029 bezel, with those sharp sub-style bezels. Nice grip, but since this had plastics on it, I didn't bother to turn it. But man, I was bothered by this watch. It was calling me. But luckily, I am reminded that I have other priorities besides this. So overall, I think these GMT dive watches from Seiko are a good all-around watch. This is primarily a Seiko SSK001 and an SPB185 merged together. So instead of buying both of those watches, just get this one, in my opinion of course, since by adding their prices, it will more or less be close. This eliminates a lot of space on your collection. Just getting one watch instead of two is always a better choice, especially if you want a small rotation and are using your watches to their full capabilities. I understand now why they made this and why it is so popular. It is an all-around watch that tries its best to be the best diver watch and GMT watch at the same time. I love it. It is going to be on my watch list for sure. No pun intended there. Next, we have another stunner, which I honestly overlooked since I was so fixated on the SPB383. This one also caught my attention, but not to the point I would contemplate buying it. Luckily, we can compare the anthracite or gray dial, whatever you want to call it, to the SPB143. A quick history about this watch. This is a reissue of the 6117 8000 and it looks exactly the same but with minor upgrades. To name a few, the movement and the crystal are obviously the most notable upgrades. And also the bracelet on this one looks classy. I don't mean the end link, I mean the bracelet and the edges. It looks really nice in the design. It's also very thin. The size on this is 38.5mm, and right off the bat, when I wore it, the size was appealing. I usually am for thick and large dive watches, but this is actually not a bad watch. The salesperson actually pointed out that it has a similar case design to the Slim Turtle or Slim Willard, and I only noticed it then. Since I already have the SPB317, I could tell there was something familiar about it. But this one feels thinner and more compact, and given it is not a dive watch, I actually like it. Now, it is also a GMT watch, and that red GMT hand is the perfect blend to this dial. No Prospex logo, a neat reissue I should say. It has a bi-directional bezel with 24 hours, and as compared to the SPB143 on the video, the dial looks closely the same, and I would have to be a wizard to really dissect the minute differences. But hey, I like this color. So the dilemma here, if ever there is someone out there who likes one of these watches, is which one should you get? Well, I opened that up because they both cost the same at $1,500 and the same 6R54 movement. The only difference is the other one is a prominent dive watch design and the other is a faithful rendition of the past, which is by the way limited to 4,000 pieces. Yikes. But I think that's a lot for limited edition, so it won't necessarily be a deal breaker for the other one just because this one is limited. I'd go for the SPB383 because it would eliminate a lot of redundant watches from my collection. It is going to make the other watches look stupid. Anyway, that's my impression on these two watches. They also had the Alpinist and other GMT watches, and also some solar watches and chronographs, but these two really caught my attention, and I just would like to share it with you. I hope I helped in some way by giving my insight about these watches. I'm not the GMT watch expert, but I just see them as a watch in general, and again, hope it helps. Thank you to the Attokyo store for letting me immerse myself with these watches. Till next time, I'll see you soon. Stay safe.